Well, hello, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I hope everybody's having a great day. It's finally freaking Friday. We've got the Mike Tyson fight tonight. That's going to be interesting to watch that and see how us older generation players do against these younger punks, so to speak. So I'll definitely be looking forward to that. Here's where things get interesting. The season has definitely not gone where we would like it to go. Finger pointing is all the rage, every man for himself. And I was talking to DMV earlier this morning, and, saying, what would be sad for all of us is most people think that Mike McCarthy's an idiot, and maybe he is. But he's an idiot that's won quite a few games, and he's won games even here with the Dallas Cowboys. And quite frankly, when you start to look at, more of Jerry Jones being exposed this year more than ever before, you look at it and say, how did we ever win any games? And if you are a franchise that's been kind of downtrodden, you'd be happy as could be if your team won 12 games without really trying to win. And I said, wouldn't it be terrible if, let's say, Mike McCarthy got hired by somebody like the Jets, and like Dan Quinn, who we said was all of our problems, that our defense, we can't stop the run, and it's Dan Quinn's fault, not the guy who's not putting the players on the roster, not the guy who's realizing that we don't have a linebacker and we're just going to use position flex to go. It'd be a terrible thing to see Mike McCarthy go succeed elsewhere, wouldn't it? And that the Cowboys are mired in mediocrity. But now is where everybody's kind of going after everybody. And good old Norm, he keeps it real. Norm has gone through, and he's going through and debunking Micah Parsons. Where Micah Parsons says he's a team leader. And I listened to this morning, and I have to share this because, he puts it on the line about Micah Parsons, and, it's really more me. So let's go to the tape here and listen to the Norm.
Wonderful player. This is his fourth year with the Dallas Cowboys. And he keeps telling us what a leader of the Cowboys he is and how much better a leader he'd like to become. But as my late former co-host, broadcast partner, Leon the Barber Simon used to say, your actions are speaking so loud I can't hear what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Parsons says he wants to be a leader, tells us he's met with Tom Brady and former defensive back star Richard Sherman and others to talk about leadership. You know what, Micah? Maybe you should schedule some more meetings. Parsons, in the off season, does not work out with the team. He works out on his own. Wouldn't the off season be a good time to be a leader on a team? To meet and counsel rookies? To establish more and more bonding with your teammates? And a handful of times on his podcast, Parsons has made comments that caused raised eyebrows, comments about the Cowboys. But following Sunday's game, in which Dallas got its butt smoked by Philadelphia 34-6, instead of trying to rally the troops, leader Parsons decided to hurl his head coach under the bus. Here are Parsons' exact words. Mike McCarthy can leave and go wherever he wants. This is pointed at the offseason. Guys I kind of feel bad for are guys like Zach Martin and the guys who might be on their last year or on their way out, because that's who I wanted to hold the trophy for. Wait, listen to this last sentence. You want to win games and do great things
For those
with
guys.
those type of legends who put in more time and work than Mike McCarthy ever did. And he also said the decision on whether or not McCarthy would return next year as a coach was, quote, above my pay grade. Well, first of all, once Parsons gets his $35 to $40 million extension in the offseason, there will be very few athletes in America above his pay grade. Now, Parsons says in backtracking, he didn't throw his coach under the bus. But isn't it disturbing that Monday morning, less than 18 hours after that defeat to Philadelphia, Mike McCarthy felt he and Parsons needed to meet to discuss the situation? That's not the actions of a leader. That meeting was one more distraction in a season that doesn't need any more distractions. That's what divas do. Divas like to shine the light on themselves and away from others. But perhaps the dumbest part of Parsons' quote was the suggestion that Zach Martin, in his 11th and perhaps final year of a brilliant Hall of Fame career, quote, put in more time and work than Mike McCarthy ever did. This is Mike McCarthy's 18th year as a head coach in the NFL. He spent 13 years before that as an assistant coach in the NFL. Mike McCarthy was coaching in this league 6 years before Micah Parsons was born. You know, as much work as Zach Martin has put in, Micah, it is stupid to say McCarthy has put in less time and less work. Perhaps, Micah, rather than focus on McCarthy, you might turn your attention to the defense you play on. The one that allowed 48 points to Green Bay in the playoff loss that ended last season, or 44 points to a miserable New Orleans team in Game 2 of this year, or 28 points to Baltimore in Game 3 this year, or 34 points to Philadelphia Sunday.
Ouch.
All games that Parsons played in. Or maybe Jerry Jones should just fire Mike McCarthy and name Micah Parsons the head coach. Also, Micah, with that, you get McCarthy's pay, which is in the bottom half of all the head coaches in the National Football League. Then let's see how much you like the combination of pay and hours spent as a head coach preparing his team.
Yeah.
But finally, note that Parsons has said nothing about the architect of this poor 2024 Cowboy team, the man who put it together, owner general manager Jerry Jones.
Ouch.
Who will also be the guy that gives Parsons $35 to $40 million per year in a contract extension this offseason. Oh, no. Micah wouldn't have the balls to say anything about Jerry Jones because that man doesn't have a contract that runs out after this year.
Today's episode brought to you by Fluent Financial, Retired.
Ouch. Ouch. Wow. So this is a big question that you have to ask here is, do the Cowboys re-sign Micah Parsons? You know, Cowboys with big contracts, ones you look at and say, okay, we got something out of that. Let's say Tyron Smith, maybe D-Law. I'm not sure you did out of Dez. I'm not sure you did out of Romo. Dak made it through his first one to get a second one. We'll see how it works out on the second one. I can't say that Jalen Smith's worked out very well. You look at these, Terrence Steele. You look at Michael Gallup. Maybe the Cowboys, which here's an interesting part. If we look at over the cap, and I'll get into this more in detail later, you look at over the cap, we currently have $20 million in cap space, which actually is in the top 10. When you look at what we have at the moment projected at 24 next year, you know the Cowboys aren't going to spend that 20. That's going to roll over. So we'll be over $40 million with Dak Prescott's contract at 89 and CeeDee Lamb's cap number being, Terrence Steele's being at, CeeDee Lamb being at 35 and Terrence Steele's cap number being at 18 million and Micah being at 21. So you don't necessarily have to do Micah Parsons' deal. It would give you some more cap relief in the short term, but you may really want to consider the possibility of saying, if we trade Micah Parsons and we can get some real stuff for it, a number one and some things, maybe you look at that one and say, are we better off doing that and saving the money and putting it elsewhere? Or are we better off signing Micah? And I'll have more thoughts on that a little bit later. But, man, Norm's whole conversation there puts it in perspective here. It seemed like, oh, yeah, well, Mike McCarthy and Micah are talking and so it's all good and water under the bridge. The fact that you have to is kind of telling in itself. And let's be clear here. I think Mike McCarthy is not upset about not coming back to Dallas. In fact, I think Mike McCarthy would rather be fired at this point, pay me the rest of my $3 million a year contract for this year, and then I don't have to work for it. Yeah, do that, because this shit is just bad and it's not getting any better. Alrighty, good people. I hope you're having a great day and hope you tune in tonight. We have a Friday night fight party. Peace out.